Hi there, welcome to Camp Kessem's 2022's training for campers with disabilities. How you guys doing? My day's been a little hectic, but here we go. Love that. Good old PowerPoint. Kessem is family, hope, love, happiness, strength. Kessem is a welcoming place for everyone, and it's important that we remember that in our disabilities. You know, we need to, if a camper has disabilities, whether visible or invisible, we have to be able to address them. The camp is home for everyone, and it needs to be accessible to everyone too. Our DEI, our diversity, equity, inclusion, campers with disabilities is a big part of that, and we want to make sure that we are able to properly care for campers, you know, with or without those disabilities. So obviously we have our classic need to know important supplemental information. We're gonna try to educate you guys about different types of disabilities and potential strategies for working with campers with aforementioned disabilities. And we wanna understand the best strategies and appreciate all the different abilities our campers have, their perspective, their way of living is different than ours, and that should be something that we can attune to and celebrate it. And you know, they should be allowed to live. They should feel at home. They should be given the same opportunities everyone else is given. And if you can't give them the exact same ones, you need to find something tuned into their channel. For section 1, we have invisible versus invisible disabilities. For section 2, we'll have neurodiversity and adapting behavior strategies. In section 3, we have other behavior management ideas. You know, you are working with children here, and we're the adults. We have to be able to serve the needs of our campers, and we don't always openly see what those are. According to the Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990, an individual with a disability is a person who has a physical or mental impairment that substantially limits one or more major life activities, or has a record of such an impairment, or is regarded as having such an impairment. We have invisible and visible disabilities. So for visible disabilities, you might think, you know, a wheelchair is an obvious one. If someone's, you know, an amputee, that's an obvious one. There's a ton, you know, anything you can see pretty much. Whereas invisible would be like deaf. You don't know if someone's deaf at first sight, or if someone has a really intense anxiety disorder or any behavioral disorder. You know, those are all invisible. Every behavior is saying something. It's our job as a counselor to figure out what the behavior is saying. So how does that behavior show anxiety, fear, joy, or pride? And how can we minimize the bad feelings and promote the good ones? So let's say a camper who is very anxious, is having trouble at a dinner, getting to know the other kids. Maybe they're afraid, and you know, it's overwhelming to them. There's a lot of noise going on. There's a lot of stimulation that's too much for them. Maybe they have an auditory processing issue or something along those lines. It is our job in that circumstance to provide other options to them. Maybe we can take them to an area that's less loud, have them eat at a quieter table, as long as we're still making them feel included. We don't want to exclude them. We need to be able to see these behaviors and adapt to them. You know, if we can make them feel included and just, you know, maybe a little less overwhelmed, maybe we can engage with them more one-on-one, just ground them in the present, and maybe open them up to some more of the other campers. There's a lot of different solutions. So we're going to take 2 minutes to write about the following. What do you do at night? Don't share it yet. This is a group activity for you guys. We're not in a group. But I'll do it, you know, for all of us to just go through the process. Okay. I like to, for my nighttime routine, I like to brush all my teeth. I like to floss. I like to make sure I have a thing set aside to shower. I like to brush my hair and take care of my beard. I like to think about what I have done that day, and I like to think about what I've have to do the next. I like to express gratitude. I get into PJs. I don't make my bread. I should. What do you do first and why? I brush my teeth because I think that's, you know, oral hygiene is very important. I want to restart this. Just a sec. Now, I'll try to share. Now, I'll try to. There's a lot of letters, a lot of E's in them, guys. This exercise is intended to show how hard it is to communicate when you don't have access to everything that you're used to. And it's to show that we can't all express what we need all the time. So it's our job as counselors, if a camper, you know, can't express to you what they need, it's our job as a counselor to learn without them telling us all the time, you know, what they need. We have to be able to adapt. Getting to know any camper individually, universal ideas. I think talking to the kids, you know, seeing what they like, what they don't like. You want to know obviously what they want. I think there's lots of different games for this too. You know, there's different question games you can play. There's I think having them like cabin chat's a good time to share stuff. Any time you can get the campers to share about themselves, I think reveals a great deal about their characters and what they actually like. I think just paying attention, really, you ask and really listen is a great strategy, and you don't have to go, you know, crazy with it. It doesn't have to be convoluted all the time. Most of the time, campers want to be there. You know, if they're not, if they're being difficult and shy, then patience, I think, is our most important virtue. You know, we have to be able to get whatever we need from whoever, and absorb and learn and implement. Keep trying. Patience. Like I said, you got to keep trying. If at first you don't succeed, try again. There's a million ways to put it, guys. But at the end of the day, these are children, people that we can connect with. And if one channel doesn't work, we can find another. If they're not into the direct line of questioning, maybe share what you kind of like, maybe try to, you know, hit the ball back first and see if they take it, and keep trying. You know, if it doesn't work one day, try the next. It'll be hard this year, especially in 2 days. But because it's time is precious, we need to do it as much as we can. The handout. Let's look at that handout. Hmm. There we go. Schedule. Sorry guys, I'm bad at Zoom. What can we do before the campers come up to make this technique easier? What prep can we do? How can we keep coming back to this technique? How can we make these techniques work in a virtual settings? We're not in a virtual setting. What can we do before the campers come to make using this technique easier? What other ways can we use this technique? What variations can you think of? What if none of the strategies you're using are working? If you find yourself having difficulty with a camper, make sure your MHP is in the loop and can provide with support. It is also helpful to rotate counselors each time the campers have to be worked with. You don't want to exhaust yourself, and the child may respond better to another counselor's technique. That's a great point. Perspective and other people's approach is absolutely the way to go. If yours isn't working, if you find a camper isn't really tuned into your style, that's why we have other campers. That's why, or other counselors. That's why we try to have options. That's why we try to have a diverse staff to address our diverse needs. What if another camper in my unit is making fun of a camper with disabilities? The process is similar to when a racist or homophobic remark is made. You must act immediately to follow up with the camper and explain why comments like those are not in line with Kesman's values. Additionally, alert the camp advisor. If the camper has disabilities, has heard the remark, make sure that they are emotionally safe and that you or someone else is available to listen to them following the incident. Addressing the incident in front of the whole unit, like at cabin chat, would also help make sure the issue is not repeated. Bullying is not something that we tolerate and not something that we want to tolerate. And I would say, you know, ableist is definitely a part of that racist, like it's part of that ist list that we don't want to perpetuate at our camp. I'm going to go through this handout and make sure we really got everything. Yeah. I think especially with campers who maybe are on the spectrum or have a different neurodivergence, schedule, routine, and kind of letting them know what's going on as much as possible is absolutely the move. It's weird. Camp is a 2-day experience this year. It's weird when it's a week, but it's not regular life. It's camp. So most people are comfortable when they know the schedule. Camp is typically a very different schedule. However, it's almost always the same. You know, it's repetitive. Um, after the first day, which we only have two. Um, so we really need to stick to what the schedule is, let them know as much as we can. This is even more important because of our limited time span. If, even if they don't have any choice or control, you leave the surprise activities or the schedule has to change over the course of the session. It is calming to give every camper a written copy of the schedule just so they know. Refer to it from the beginning and immediate what's next, and then long term. Use the schedule before every transition. Use both written and verbal prompts to talk about the schedule and discuss changes in the schedule as soon as we know about them. Try to stick to the schedule within reasoning. And yeah, just kind of let them know what's going on. Give them the form. They can feel comfortable. They're not just got to be anxious, ready for whatever the entire time, hanging out with a bunch of strangers. Um, our routines, which are going to be hard to acclimate campers to in 2 days. But we have to wake up. We got to go to and from meals. We got to go to and from activities. We got downtime, bed, rest. We want to have some warning on those. We just want to maybe 5 minutes ahead. Okay, guys, or okay, folks, we're about to head to singing, or we're about to head to arts and crafts in 10 minutes, in 5 minutes. Just give them some warning. We kind of want to be who's doing what. We'll be like the green Crocs are going with Lucky Charms to paint a picture in 10 minutes. We want to stick to the plan that we have. And we want to let them know what the plan is. If it messes up, we have to roll with the punches. We want to keep them in the loop as soon as we know what the loop is. Transitioning out of one activity into the other is one of the most difficult times at camp for anyone. Unfortunately, it happens all day long, typically more than once an hour. The key to great transitions is that the camper have a warning and know what is next. Exactly what I was trying to say badly. Use a timer with an alarm instead of just saying 5 more minutes. A concrete thing. Give reminders starting at about 15 minutes. Talk about what's going to happen during the transition, a particular activity, if we're going to change into our swim clothes, if we're going to stop for a bathroom break, and what the next activity will be. We want to allow the current activity to have closure. That's part of why we have that warning, so that a game can end, there's a project ends, or we're like, hey, we can save that for later. Just make sure they're not torn from what they're doing and have that appropriate transition time. We want to talk about what's next in an exciting and positive way, and then write down some simple steps as a visual support sometimes. If we want to try it out, we're going to finish playing soccer, we're going to get a drink of water, collect our belongings, and then we're going to move everybody to the arts and crafts. Redirection, that is a great technique for us. Redirection is a technique that points the camper's energy and focus in the direction that we want before it gets out of hand. There are 4 key components to redirection. You got to get to know them. Ask them questions, study their behavior, or try to anticipate what they will want to do, ask for. I had a bunch of young fellas. They're pretty hyperactive. They like Gaga Ball. They were always trying to get Gaga Ball. Kids will let you know more clearly a lot of the time what they want. Awareness of behavior. What am I looking for? What do I want to see happening? What is he or she doing intentionally right now? How does behavior change depending on who is around or what we are doing? You want to listen to what's going on. You want to try to be aware as much as possible. If you see a troublemaker that you've got, a little extra antsy one, kind of lingering around the outside, running around, you want to be aware of that, and you want to kind of redirect them and bring them back to the group as much as you can. Attention getters, clap once if you can hear me. There's a quiet coyote, bang, bang, clap. Call and response, we can sing songs. This is the repeat after me song. This is the do as I ideally do. Just good ways to bring them back to you is always necessary. Some good ideas. What's in your backpack? A redirect to the schedule activity. 5 go-to games. Something physical. Yeah, so if you've got a kid who maybe keeps asking about something that we're not about to go do, like maybe you have a camper over here who's like, when's Gaga Ball? When's Gaga Ball? You can redirect that energy into something communal for everyone, and we can get them to go into the next activity with some excitement if we can redirect them before they get the rest of the campers focused on something that we're not going to be doing. And final step, creating clear expectations. Do your campers know what you expect of them? How do you know? A lot of bad behavior happens because kids have to guess what they're supposed to be doing. For kids with special needs, it can also be difficult to generalize expectations from one experience or activity to the next. So what might be clear in the cabin is not as clear as arts and crafts. Remember that expectations change often. Try to be overtly clear when they do. Use visual supports when you talk about your expectations. Use fewer words. Try to cull your expectations to only include 3 to 5 for each activity. Can you create experiential expectations or expectations by doing? How do you know that you've been clear? You know that you've been clear when the campers understand you. And if there's any gray area, it's your job to clarify that. And it's also your job to be clear and concise. An example would be, if we're going to have some quiet time to rest, that's a clear expectation that you need to set, that they're being respectful of other people's space and quietness, and that you need to that because you don't want your space and quiet interrupted. It would be rude to do that to someone else. Just mutual respect stuff like that. Yeah. In closing, we have techniques that work with one camper may not work with another. Super true. If you need help, your MHP, your higher ups, if you ever have a problem, especially with a disability that you don't think you're equipped to handle, ask for help. That's what we're here for. It's a community. We're here to help each other. And the resources are there for you and for them. We want to be able to help each other so we can help our campers the best way possible. Icebreakers, open-ended questions, and genuine curiosity are great ways to know a camper individually. Super true. If you need to make a game out of it, make a game out of it to make it more comfortable. If you can just, connect with the camper in a conversation, that's great too. Not everyone is going to be as willing to share. Not everyone is going to be as quick to share, but it's important that we keep trying. Important. Every behavior is saying something. It's your job to figure out what that is and respond appropriately. If a camper keeps waddling around like they gotta pee, they probably have to pee. If something's bothering them, they're being sad or mopey, something's probably bothering them, and you should talk to them or direct them to the MHP. Kids, people signal what they are, and it's our job to pay attention to those signals. The 2 best strategies for working with campers with disabilities are understanding the behavior and getting to know them individually. And you also need to immediately follow up and squash any ableist remarks, loop in the camp authority. Yeah, definitely, we kind of deal with bullying in a similar way. Let the higher ups know, deal with it immediately, let the kids know that it's not right to treat someone this way. And, they're all kids and people. And I I trust that we're able to see that, but that's a very important thing that we need to be able to know and to learn. So yeah, in closing, everyone's needs are different. Get to know what they are and address them. And if you need help, ask for help. And our campers need help, and we're there to provide it. So that's it on that. How do I end this?